I gotta put on my headphones.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, hold on.
We got the new Dan office.
All right, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great.
Okay, that is 12 o'clock. So, hello everybody and welcome to this week's SEO and IPA. It's the fun weekly hangout about inbound marketing, entrepreneurship, and more for cool people of all stripes, shapes, and colors. As always, I am Dan Barrett from Two Friendly Nerds. That's TWOFriendlyNerds.com, world's friendliest web design and marketing company. And with me, as always, is the brains behind the operation, half Rand Fishkin, half Randy Savage, Patty DeLessio from reinventinteractive.com. That is reinventinteractive.com. Patty, how are you? My wonderful friend. Patty, you are the truth and the light. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. It is Wednesday. It is
Wednesday.
Mid-May. It is getting more beautiful out. I've got a fabulous beer in front of me.
Cool.
You've got a new office. Everything is just right.
I do. I'm in my new office. If you're watching this and you're used to seeing just endless piles of garbage behind me, I am now in an office in downtown Middletown, Connecticut, where I live, and that garbage is pushed slightly to the side. I'll see if I can turn this a little bit, and you can see this is what the office looks like. There's some stuff over there, and then it keeps going that way, and that's what the office looks like. So I'm going to knock all my external hard drives off this desk doing this live action bit. So it's very cool. I'm very excited.
I'm so jealous of your Stark office.
It's very cool. There's another room. I think I'm going to try to turn it into like a recording studio or something, maybe a little room to do music in there. But yeah, there will be more crap in here soon when I get kind of settled in. But this was the first week I was able to get internet, which of course I need to work. However, I did realize that if my internet ever goes out, I can steal internet from the frozen yogurt place across the street. They have
Nice.
Wi-Fi, so there you go.
Nice.
Patty, this is my excuse. I forgot my beer this week because I'm in a new office. I'm so used to being next to my kitchen that like the idea of like packing a lunch and all this stuff is very foreign to me. So I forgot my beer. So why don't you talk about your beer? I can say I did go buy iced coffee from this lovely bakery down the street, Fusion Bakery in Middletown. If you guys are ever in Middletown, you should go check them out. They're great. But in any case, this is a iced red eye, so it's got a shot of espresso with the iced coffee because I am killing myself. And Patty,
well,
what did you have? I have the upper, you have the downer.
Okay, so I have an idea. So last night, just so everybody knows, last night I got a text from Dan where he sent me a beer menu and said, what should I drink off this beer menu?
Yes.
Why don't you talk about the beer that I chose for you that I think you went with, and you can kind of talk about, right? It was the Hubland Schoof.
Yeah. Hoofland. Yeah, it was the Hoofland Schoof.
Here, right, it's this one.
In fact, I can actually pull up a picture of it. Hold on.
Okay. Well, you do that. You do that because you can talk about that, and then I'll do mine while you.
Okay, you do yours, and all right.
Your retrospective.
All right.
Posthumously beer. Okay, I went with Flying Dog.
Okay, cool.
Bitch. It's a Belgian style IPA.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, the title, I don't know, it's a little creepy. The dog is really creepy.
So these bottles all have, correct me if I'm wrong, it's artwork by the guy who did the artwork for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Is it really?
Yeah, I believe so. And it's one of the reasons I have had some of these beers, but I never want to pick them up, primarily because the artwork creeps me out. And I know that is shallow.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But it does. It has an effect on it, for sure.
Well, that kind of explains a lot of things. But anyway, this is great. Well, you know, I love IPAs. I love Belgian beer. I love the combined of the two. So this is just right up my alley. It's rated an 88. I don't know. Rate beer and I think I would have given it something else. But anyway, it's beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, I like it. Cheersies. So you had something last night. You were out and about, and
Yes. So I had, let me pull this up in my Evernote. If you guys ever want to see what my Evernote account looks like, this is it. This is we were at Fenway Park to go see a show with my wife there, who's that lovely lady right there, and I take pictures of all my food and store it and never know it because I'm an idiot.
You
So
do?
I do. So anytime we're out, especially, or when I'm cooking something. So yeah, I got the Hublin Schoof triple IPA, which is very nice, very grapefruity. If you want to know what we ate, we got baked clams,
Yum.
bone marrow, which was
Yum.
delicious. I've never had bone marrow. Then I got baked rigatoni with lamb sausage. That's Tao. She got a trout. The trout is down there. And then we got like a chocolate souffle. It was lovely. It was probably like a 9 million calorie dinner, but it was excellent. So yeah, the Hooplandschufer was very, I thought it was almost like grapefruity.
Yeah.
And usually I don't love that, but I enjoyed it very much, and it was sort of, had a kick to it. It was like somewhere near 9% alcohol by volume, so it was a really nice dinner beer because it was kind of bright, refreshing, and kind of sipped on it. So yeah, it was good. So that's my in absentia beer, and I'll be sure to bring a new one. There's got to be a liquor store near here somewhere. I'm sure I could figure it out. But let's talk about this week's article. So
let's do it.
Well, first, let me scratch my head in front of everybody.
Okay. There you go. All right. Cut. Okay.
All right. Nope, it's not yet. All right. This week. All right. This week we decided we were going to talk about the future. The future of online marketing, and specifically search in general. And this was because we found a really great article. By the way, if you are watching along with us today and you'd like to read the article, you can get the link to the article in the show notes on Google+. You can also find it in the show notes on our own Hangout page, which is twofriendlynerds.com/hangout. That's TWO, friendlynerds.com/hangout. You can also find past Hangouts and stuff there. But this week's article was great. It was featured on Moz.com, and it was, I thought, a really intriguing article called Bacon Burritos and the Future of Marketing. Now, one of the things was that initially, when I read this headline, I was like, yeah, I get it. Bacon, the internet. We get it. Like, it's such a played out joke to me. It made me want to strangle myself. But I was like, it's on Moz. It's probably pretty good. And it is actually a really excellent article. I'll put it up here on the screen about trends in search, how fast search tends to change, and some places that it might be going soon, right? And she points out things like, keyword density and all this stuff as sort of indicators of trends in search that have gone by the wayside, and then trends that are emerging. And there are a couple particular ones that I really like, that I was really intrigued by. But today I thought, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the future. Is bacon the future? No, are burritos the future bacon? Right. And other things like that. So, Patty, I'm curious what you thought of the article. If you had anything else that you wanted to pick out, talk about, anything that grabbed your fancy there.
Yeah, well, I mean, first to explain the whole bacon burrito thing. I don't know if that's obvious, but
I think we can explain it for people who aren't total dorks.
Yeah,
we can explain it, right?
Okay, so.
You explain it. I don't want to explain it. You do it. You don't know the work.
So bacon is just, it's like an internet meme. Like, everybody loves bacon, bacon ice cream, bacon gum, bacon,
Well, and bacon consumption is up a lot across the United States. So it's not just internet, but it's big on the internet, basically, to talk about how much you love it, right?
Yeah. So everybody loves bacon, and now they're sort of shifting into, burritos is becoming the new bacon. So it's almost like, gray is the new black, or pink is the new black, whatever.
Can I point out how annoying this is? Because everyone out there knows this. I am on record as having loved burritos this whole time. It says it on my website. This is not an internet trend. It's my life.
Right.
So back off.
Well, me too. I mean, technically, I just finished a tamale, but yeah, I hear you.
Oh, tamale. That's cool. All right.
It came out of my microwave, but it was still a tamale.
That's like a hipster burrito. I like it. I like it very much.
Yeah. So anyway, first of all, I have to call out. She starts us off with like 3 links just showing the proof of to how popular burrito stuff is right now.
Mm.
And the first and third are brilliant. The first being the tiny hamster eating a tiny burrito. Everyone needs to click that. And then the last one as well is somebody who's very, very angry at the person that just made his burrito, and he lists a whole huge page as to what his rant is about the burrito that he just had for lunch. So anyway, so getting into the meat of the article, yeah, she certainly outlines SEO tactics that used to be valuable that are no longer valuable, and then she enumerates the different Google algorithm updates, all the animals, the caffeine, the panda, the penguin, the hummingbird, and kind of which of these tactics it sort of addressed, right? Mm. So there's that. She then continues to mention one of my favorite movies, which I thought was really fun, which is Sideways. But yeah, I guess, you know, and the point that she makes there, sorry not to be too scattered here, but the point that she makes there is how her mother queries. Right? So the mom is like, you know, what's that movie with the 2 guys that drink wine and then up comes Sideways? Like, that's so indicative of how search is changing for the better for the user, right?
Mm. Right. Because the idea being that rather than knowing what I'm searching for, I can just search for movie where 2 guys drink wine, and I'm going to find that thing. And we've all probably had that experience where it's kind of like, you have some idea but you don't know how to say it. You kind of talk around it, and you find it, right?
Yeah, and it didn't used to work. The internet didn't used to be that way. It used to be a couple key words, and now it's full-on sentences and questions. You just put right into the the search box, and it's now starting to work. And we're all sort of not. It doesn't surprise us anymore that our answers are coming up when we're putting in sort of kind of like vague questions. So anyway, I thought that...
If anything, you're mad when you don't get it, even if, you take for granted that Google should be able to figure out what you want.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, it is in fact, I think you're right, a big step over where search was even 5 years ago.
Sure.
Right?
Sure, absolutely. So Google knows, Google's giving us our answers with us not even having to click. So she says, type in how old is Jason Priestley, or, what is the weather? You just kind of type that in, it comes up. Which I think is, we've talked about this a lot. My favorite thing, Dan, pull up a browser window for me.
Got it.
I did this live in a workshop I did a few weeks ago, and I had some screenshots. Type in Prince music.
Okay, Prince music?
Prince space music, yeah. So without having to go anywhere, you can click those tunes. So click one of those, yeah. Look at that. We're not even on a website. We're still within Google. Now, if you click that, it goes to YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Or something, right? But those tracks, click a track. Yeah, it slides. It's like his whole...
Yeah, so now I'm searching for these particular things.
Yeah, those particular songs. But how helpful and useful is that change in Google? I mean, that's just... That's just fantastic. So it's kind of like one of those, I think of, is it The Simpsons, where he's like, oh, Christ. Put it away.
What? What are you talking about?
Oh, God. Oh, God. Can I just tell you there's a pop song right now on the radio where the line is, I want to do you like Michael, I want to kiss you like Prince.
Right, yeah.
Have you heard this? I can't help but think whoever wrote that is completely misunderstanding the 80s entirely. But anyway. He's a powerful dude. He's got a lot of powerful love to give, and that's important to know. No disrespect to Prince. None.
No, Prince is the bomb.
Prince is amazing.
So yeah, anyway. I think the question becomes, right, for this kind of stuff is that if you are just out there doing your work like an SEO person does, and you're helping your clients rank, or you run your own business and you're trying to rank your business for certain keywords,
Yeah.
how can you compete with Google when Google is essentially scraping your content, providing it for free, right? Or if not scraping your content, providing free examples of other content, right? So
Providing
is there going to be, for example, a time when Google decides that, let's say there's Google Play out there now, right, which is their streaming music service. Let's say they get Google Voice to the point where Google Voice can dynamically transcribe all the lyrics to a song, and then when you Google the word like Prince lyrics, it just pulls up the Prince lyrics from Google Play in the sidebar, right? So if you're Rap Genius or whatever, some kind of lyric site, can you compete with that? Like, why would you compete with that, right? Should they compete with that?
Well,
I don't know.
If we're looking 5 years in the future, we need to be useful, right? We need to make sure that we need to be relevant to searchers. We need to have a reason to click into our sites, right?
And I guess we're not, although you are essentially, I think the issue is that Google, by deciding to move into any space, more or less blasts competition in that space to pieces, because Google has become essentially, when you're thinking about it, it's the platform people use to use the internet.
Yep.
It's where the internet starts for most people. So, it's kind of like Google's like, oh, hey, we want to do, whatever. It just happens to be what your website does. Sorry.
Right.
So I guess the question then becomes, so it's not so much like, well, I have to be useful. If Google decides to destroy your space, they destroy your space.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I don't want to make too big a deal out of it. It's not like, industrialization and we're driving the factory workers out of work, but it's not a joke to the people who are kind of doing it and that's their thing and that's their business. And I don't know. I just have such conflicted feelings about stuff like that. Right?
Yeah.
Because essentially, at what point does Google become an operating system for the internet? Right? And it's where it's going.
Right.
It's a thing you're inside all the time, rather than something you use to jump from thing to thing. But we've talked about that before, and I think that's the inevitable trend. Yeah.
And I'm looking up something I had. This idea here. Well, I don't know. I don't have to show this slide, but this is what I talked about in a recent workshop. Is specifically about Google, and remember the whole "Don't be evil." Was the informal corporate motto back in what was it, 1998 when Google began. It's the whole idea that Google is an advertising platform. It's an advertising company, right?
Right.
It just happens to deliver its ads. Its magazine is search. So, and it makes its money that way. But this is what was really interesting, and I forget if you and I have talked about this, but in the first quarter of this year, of 2014, Google spent $3.82 million on lobbying.
Yeah.
On lobbying.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I was a little surprised. And it's more than, the next guy down, which is Facebook, who also spent a lot of money on lobbying. But so this tells me, I don't think Google is going to be, unseated, right? I think they're going to stay, for at least now, especially if they've got that kind of power.
Yeah, history is full of companies that seem too big to
fail. Yeah.
Right? But anyway. I do like Google, and we should say, so they don't shut this hangout down, that we love you, Google. Larry, if you're watching this.
Mr. Page.
Mr. Page.
Anyway, yeah. So the article is what's the next point that she made?
I wanted to say my favorite point of this article.
Yeah.
Which is really neat and sort of very. Here, I'll bring up the article real quick. Was multi-device.
Yeah.
Internet usage, right? Let me just pull up this article real quick. Oh, sorry, that's something different. That's not what I meant to pull up. Hold on.
That's just so awesome.
Yeah, I know. I can't get over that photo. Yeah, multi-device usage, and this is something that I think I really enjoyed it because this represents what my usage of the internet is now like, right?
Uh-huh.
Where I am sequentially on multiple devices at different times. I mean, when I work, I'm at my computer, which is my desktop background. Then I also have my phone. I've got a laptop over in the corner. When I'm at home, I'm on an Apple TV that's streaming from my computer, and then I have the iPad. My wife's on the phone.
Yeah.
And you're doing either different stuff. Like my wife is playing 2048, that game, right? Or it's just playing that nonstop.
What is that?
It's like an iPhone game where you are combining numbers to get to the number 2048. It's
okay.
One of those games that's like simple to learn and hard to master. But she's doing that. She's on that while we're watching TV, and we're watching TV via Hulu, right? And then, I will, I always do this where it's like I'm watching some show, and then I immediately jump on like the Onion AV Club to like read the review of the show that I just watched, right? And so it's like you're doing all these things, and I see companies trying to tap into that. Like I always laugh about, do you ever watch Project Runway?
No.
Okay. It's actually a good show. I'm like the least fashionable person in the universe, but I like Project Runway, and I watch it with my wife, and and they've been doing this thing this season, or I think it was last season, or whenever it was, where they're like, get on your iPad and like download the app so you can interact with the show. Yeah. And I was like, that's stupid, like, bleh, but I am interacting with the internet while I'm watching the show, just not in the way that they want me to.
Right.
So.
Right.
It's like how do you tap into that? Like, what's the future of tapping into that simultaneously?
I actually did this once where, and I'm forgetting the name of the show, but Anthony Bourdain was a judge on some cooking reality show that I didn't watch.
The Taste.
Is that what it was? Okay, so
with Marcus Samuelsson, my favorite chef.
Oh, okay.
Marcus, if you're watching,
cheers.
Please kiss me.
Cheers. Okay, so I didn't watch the show. I actually don't watch a lot of, I don't know. I watch a lot of something, but never the mainstream.
I don't watch much TV either. I just read the classics all night before I go.
Yeah, like the Dancing with the Stars and all this. All my peers are chatting this stuff up. I'm like, I have no idea. So anyway, so that show was on, but what he did is he was live streaming himself from his living room with like a little party of people while we were all watching the show live. Yeah. And it was just hands down one of the most interesting, interactive things. So he's pouring margaritas, there's his wife, there's, all of his friends, and they're all like, anticipating what's going to happen and who's going to win, and the people in his room didn't know, and his dog's walking in and out or whatever it was. Like, it was seriously his living room in Manhattan. I'm also a huge Anthony Bourdain fan, love him. So I was... Yeah, I love Anthony Bourdain. Really cool.
Yeah, and I think even the simplest version of that is live tweeting, right? Everybody live tweets everything. Like, but I watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'm a nerd, and then the whole cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. live tweets while the show is on. Yeah. So if I miss it, I can't go on Twitter. Yeah. Because they're going to talk about it, right?
Exactly. And I have to say, one of the funniest things I've done this year is be on Twitter while watching the live show of Sound of Music. You know how that was? Oh. The live Sound of Music, and kind of a little bit slightly disastrous that was. That was some of the most entertaining, TV next to watching Anthony Bourdain watch his show, because that was... Yeah,
well, it's essentially like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
I just thought of an amazing app.
Uh-oh.
Sort of. I don't know how it would work. Okay.
Don't say it.
No, I'm putting it out there. I want this. Okay. Here's what it is. This is for when Apple comes out with their TV. I'm sure they're going to do that, right? So there's going to be TV. There's going to be apps for your television. This is a thing that's definitely happening, right? Yeah. So here's an app. It's like a mystery science. It's a crowdsourced mystery science theater. Do you watch Mystery Science Theater? You like that?
Yeah.
All right. So if anyone's ever watched this, the whole idea is like they watch horrible movies and they comment on it. So what this app does is it crawls Twitter for the funniest tweets. It uses algorithms to find the funniest tweets, and then it puts the tweets on over the TV show that you're watching, So you get like funny commentary from the internet while the show's going on. Boom.
Boom.
Boom. All right? $1 million ideas. I'm just throwing these out there. It's because I have so many of them.
I want to interact with those people too. So I think it should create some sort of space where we can all be funny together. Anyway, so but she talks about the different formats that people are using to watch TV. Like you mentioned, like how do you watch TV? What's your devices? You said Apple TV.
Yeah, we've got an Apple TV. We've got really horrible cable, so basically that's for watching Wheel of Fortune. And then we've got Hulu.
Yeah.
And I pirate a lot. Sorry, police officers. And I stream to the Apple TV. So, it's a combination of Hulu and then torrenting stuff. Plus, if cable, we have essentially it's a Food Network subscription, and we just watch the Food Network on it. And my wife tends to be on the phone on her phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's doing a bunch of that. Now, we were really early adopters of the TiVo.
Yeah.
And we have a couple of those in the house, so I'm kind of like really addicted to that. So the point that she's making here about how no one's really watching TV real time, right? Because it doesn't fit our schedules, or it doesn't, it kind of seems, sort of weird. I totally get, because anything I ever want to watch, I TiVo and then watch, at 5:30 in the morning when I'm up for.
Yeah, you want it on your schedule just because you have enough to go on the time. I saw it in the question and answer. Shannon says, I don't think anyone's going to unseat Google. I think Gabe is making some interesting things with DuckDuckGo.
Yes, love him.
Yeah, is that ever going to be more than a niche thing, though? I don't think so.
Well, the NSA is certainly putting DuckDuckGo in a good position, right?
Yeah.
So we're all.
Do you have clearance to say that right now?
Do I? I don't know. But we had a whole show about this. You and I talked about the NSA issues, and I love DuckDuckGo. He's a local Philly guy.
Right.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Google's shut up. Go Philly.
So that was a weird thing. You're like, he's a local guy that I. Anyway.
Yeah.
What? What did you do? That's crazy. We had a bit of a falling out after
No. I want to meet Gabe. I want to meet Gabriel. He's on my list of people I want to meet.
Cool. Yeah, they're a very cool company, right?
Yeah, they're a very cool company.
For people out there that aren't familiar, DuckDuckGo is essentially it's a search engine like Google, but they don't track you in any way. They don't save any of your data. They don't cookie you. They don't do any of that stuff. So, the downside is that you get less personalized search results. The upside, of course, is that no one knows that you are up Googling recipes for homemade Oreos at 4 in the morning or whatever you're Googling. So, yeah.
Anyway, so 5 years from now, Dan, where are we going to be?
5 years from now, I think the next big thing, so let's talk search rather than, I was going to say like apps for TV. I think that's obviously like the next thing, but
that's cool.
I think search-wise, I think what we're going to get is more and more reliance on social as drivers of rank, because this whole thing where it's like, just write really great content. Then becomes like, all right, how do you tell what's good content? Right. And aside from saying like Google decides what's good content, which is kind of like dystopian, I think we're more and more going to get like, how do people act on your thing? Do they share it? Do they spend a long time on it? Basically these user metrics. They're really going to be the core drivers of search. And that's going to give, I think, even more rise to this, it's this whole brand of SEO that's very psychological, right? Yeah. It's like, how do you get people to, green backgrounds encourage people to click on 22% more blue colored links, and it's like, we're going to get more and more of that. Even now, I don't know, I have unformed thoughts on this, because I think this is always what I start thinking about. When I start thinking about SEO in general, and I start thinking about conversion optimization, all the stuff I do for people. I think about this quote that I saw, and I wish I could remember who wrote this, but it is a guy who was like one of the first employees at Facebook, and I'm quitting and sort of going off to do his own thing. And he said, the greatest minds of my generation spend their entire days trying to figure out how to get people to click on links.
Mm.
And I can't help but think that Mashable is never going to write War and Peace, and it's never even going to write, like Hiroshima. It's never going to write a New York Times or like a New Yorker piece. It's never going to do it.
Yeah.
So sometimes I worry that in our pursuit of quality content, we've sort of lost track of, I don't know, some sort of deeper thing there. That probably was not a great answer to that question, but this is what I worry about.
Yeah, I have to tell you what I worry about is our search getting homogenized. We talk about sort of crowdsourcing or crowd defining. I worry about that least common denominator. So the more people that read the same thing just keeps being shown. It's sort of like we're all seeing the same thing. We're missing out on nuances and different views, or we're only seeing our own views played back to us and served back to us. You know what I mean? Like that's the fear I have, is the people that I choose to socialize with on social media, we're all collectively creating our own view into the world. So I mean, that's kind of what I worry about. You kind of see that with what's trending and Twitter, and then they're reporting on it on the Today Show, like as if we can't. Like it's just all of that is a little bit aggravating.
It all comes down to whether you're a cynic or an optimist about it as a collective, right? Because if you believe, as I happen to believe, that if you let the group decide, you get very quickly a race to the bottom. Yeah. Or you could say, like, nope, it's the democratic principle, it's the capitalist principle, right? Yeah. You let the market decide. You let everyone's decision in their own best interest will equal the best outcome.
It's a very socialist idea. Well, you know what? I can almost like kind of equate it to the supermarket, where like all the popular ideas are the end caps or the stuff at eye level, and we're all just going to have to like, bend down and look for the stuff that's maybe interesting or unique or that we haven't seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's like, it's kind of like the idea, like, can something so new and earth-shaking and radical actually make it to people in a world that's sort of dominated by, you get the information that we think you're going to like?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all going for the masses versus or we're all just going to splinter off into these small, social groups where we meet up with the same common mindset. Yeah. We're all looking at and chatting about, and so I don't know. I'd like to think that.
I got another $1 million idea.
What?
Okay. Everybody out there, this is another business idea. Okay. Okay. I'll even make it like hip. So it's a news aggregator. It's going to be called Balance, but it has no vowels, right? So it's like BLNC.
Yep.
Okay. So when you log in, it says like, hey, tell me all the websites that you view, right? So like, let's say if you're like, okay, I read the New Yorker, I read a couple blogs, I read this news, I like NPR. These are all true, right? It's like, great. Okay. So here's the news from your sources and suggested sources, people who like similar things.
Yep. And here's the other
also the total opposite people. Here's what's popular among them right now, right? And you get both. Wouldn't that be cool? I feel like we could do that.
Yeah, it's sort of like MSNBC with like Fox in the lower corner,
Right, but it would pick out like high quality stuff of both. So it wouldn't just be like everything. It would be like, here's like the best articles from this thing. Yeah. And it might even do like, let's say it's like, here's an article of Benghazi. It's like, we also found like a very highly respected article like taking the opposite approach, and you kind of put them side by side.
Yeah.
I think like that would be pretty sweet if someone wants to take that idea, I will sign on for a minor consulting bonus to help you.
Just 40%. Yeah.
Yeah, of net growth forever in perpetuity. Anyway, that would be a cool idea.
We have hit our time here, man.
I know we're over. So
Interesting.
yeah, this was an interesting topic. I'm sure we're going to come back to it. Feels like we talk about the future of search every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, in any case, if you are just tuning in and you're just catching us now and you want to check out the beginning of the episode or you want to see any of our past episodes, you can do that at twofriendlynerds.com/hangout. That's twofriendlynerds.com/hangout. Or just go to YouTube and search for SEO and IPA, man. We come up because search is so good now, right? SEO and IPA, just search for it. You'll find it. As always, I'm Dan Barrett from Two Friendly Nerds. That's twofriendlynerds.com. World's friendliest web design and marketing company. And with me, as always, was the lovely Patty Gillespie from reInvent Interactive.
Yes.
Guys, we will see you next week. Wednesday, noon Eastern Standard Time. And until then, optimize very responsibly. Yeah.
Thanks,
all right,
Dan.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.